What is in your background? I'm sure that this might be part of the story you'll tell us tonight, but
I don't know that I have a story, but that's 1920s Harlem, and there's African Americans standing in line to vote.
Oh, lovely.
And I've got like, I don't know, I was just really struggling with a bunch of stuff. And so I've got that, and I've got some Tuskegee Airmen.
yeah.
I've got all kind of um, consciousness stuff that was kind of, and I was trying to be middle of the road. There's a lot of stuff out there, and I'm just kind of like, it's about voting and rights. Also got some pictures of education opportunities. So
That's great. You make a statement with your background.
I like it. Very nice.
So I'm sharing my screen. Can everyone see it?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And we are recording to Zoom and we are live on YouTube.
Thank you so much, Laura. Aaliyah should be joining us shortly.
So we are streaming to YouTube. I'm going to go ahead and put in the chat the link to our YouTube channel, just in case anyone wants to forward it to someone.
So I think we agreed that we would start this meeting at 2 minutes after the appointed time. So maybe we'll get started here. Good evening. My name is Kevin Skelly, and I'm the superintendent of the San Mateo Union High School District. And I want to welcome everybody here to what is our third meeting of this year of the Black Parents Association Unity in the Community event. And I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight for what I know is going to be a chance to build community and unity. And I want to recognize some of the people who are here tonight. You'll meet some of the staff members who will make various comments during the evening. So, but I do want to recognize our board president, Bob Griffin, who is here. I also want to recognize Samantha Logan, who is from Congressperson Jackie Spears' office. She's here. She heard about this event, and Congresswoman Spears was interested in making sure that she came and listened and attended. I know we're going to expect board member Lihia Andrade Zuniga is in a meeting, but may be joining us later. And as I look at the list of attendees, I don't know who's on YouTube, but we have quite a few members of the district superintendent's cabinet and council here, some of whom will introduce themselves when they speak. So I want to introduce Emilien Rasmus, who is our BPA Student Summit leader. He's going to be our somewhat of our MC, along with Angela Taylor, who is the director of the San Mateo Adult School. So I really appreciate people coming. This is an important event for us. Our percentage of African-American families is not as high district-wide. And so we see these virtual meetings have been really successful in bringing about community. So we're going to do a variety of different activities and give us a chance, not for people not just to listen to what we have to say, but also to participate and meet others tonight. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Emilien.
Dr. Skelly, thank you for that wonderful opening. Good evening, San Mateo Union High School District community, and welcome to the final installment of Unity in the Community, hosted by the Black Parents Association. My name is Emilien Rasmus. Dr. Skelly said, I'm a student at the Middle College program, and I'm so happy to be here. Alongside Miss Angela Taylor, I will be co-hosting this evening. We are overjoyed that all of you are joining us tonight to celebrate community, engage in robust conversation, and collaborate in advancing critical challenges. This evening's agenda is comprised of community building, BPA updates and upcoming events, district fresh news and reviews, focus group summaries, and finally, we'll have a Q&A session. Before we proceed, I would like to share that tonight's event is focused on fostering personal connection and building community among us. During the next segment, everyone will have an opportunity to get to know each other a little better for about 10 minutes. Once that time is up, you'll be prompted and automatically returned to the whole group. While in the breakout rooms, please begin with these first 3 questions. Could you advance the slides, please? Thank you. First one is, who are you and what is your affiliation with the district or an individual school? Secondly, what is one goal you have for 2021? And lastly, how are you feeling right now in 3 words? Ms. Shockley, are the groups ready?
I'm going to ask Dr. Kimke that question.
Oh, okay, Dr. Gray.
Yes, we are ready to go. So we'll open the rooms now. Laura, how much time do we have for this piece? Oops, you're muted.
Hey there.
Laura, you're still muted.
Oh. Sorry, can you hear me?
Oh, this is funny. I should have looked at these rooms more carefully. Kevin and Kirk are in the same one.
So,
There's
okay,
not a lot of-
so it's 10 minutes for this room. And then Julia, are you able to do a banner? So first of all, can you guys see what do you guys see? Do you see my screen?
I do.
Yes.
It has a block in the middle that has breakout rooms in progress. Do you see that? And it has all the people.
Doesn't have all the people.
Okay. So Julia,
You
can
can't
you?
see that. That's part of the hosting screen.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so then Julia, can you do a broadcast message or do you need me to do that? I can do it.
I can do it if you, what do you want it to say?
So I put it in that little document, or, I can do it. So what do? I just do broadcast message and then I cut and paste it in there.
Yep. There
Okay.
is a limit to how many words you can put in. So
Okay. Let me see if I can do this. Broadcast message, hopefully this will work. No, it's not gonna work. Broadcast. Okay, so the questions are,
oh, you just want the questions. Oh, I
Yeah.
know, Laura, you've shared that with me.
oops, okay, broadcast questions.
Looked like Sarah Davini was on here. Is she still here?
I can't see participants anymore because of the breakouts.
And then question 2, what is one goal you have for 2021? And the third one is 3 words to describe how you feel right now.
Looks like someone's joining us. Good evening, Douglas. At least that's what your screen name is. If our participants are in a breakout room right now, just talking about a few questions. If you want, I can put you in a group right now if you would like, or you can wait here with us. We have about 6 more minutes. They're sharing on these 3 questions that are on the screen.
Okay, hopefully that worked. I think the first time I did it, I hit broadcast message to all, and I think I was supposed to hit broadcast. So I think it's out there now.
No, I'm seeing them.
Oh, you are? Okay, good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we can see them.
So you saw them twice then.
It's all good. I think it was
Yeah.
just kind of a running banner to remind people. So we have about
Yeah.
5 minutes right now.
Okay.
I don't know if we want to say, if we want to share that, because this is 10 minutes for this portion, right?
Yes, that's right.
So did you see my little banner that time, Laura?
I did. Yep. Perfect. So for the YouTube recording, does it record? What does it record for this part when people are in breakouts?
Recording the main, it's recording us.
Okay.
So I don't know, when we're in breakout rooms, it might make sense to pause.
Oh, yeah. That's a little, I'm not sure how you do that with YouTube. It makes me a little nervous, but
If anybody's logging into YouTube, we're in breakout rooms right now.
yeah.
How many folks were here when we started?
I can't, it's hard for me to tell because I'm sharing my screen. It looks like right now we've got 6 breakout rooms
There's about 20.
of like 3 to 4 people. So 20 to 24.
Great.
Laura, one thing I realized that I didn't look at on the settings is that if I close the room, is it an immediate closure or if it's a minute or if it's, I think the other options is maybe 30 seconds. I don't know.
I'm not sure. I don't know the answer to that. So
You know what? Maybe I'll close at like 30 seconds left,
yeah,
just in
kind of
case.
split the difference.
The default, I think, is 60. Yes, Brian, but depending, I don't know.
We'd have figured that particular piece out by now in terms of like the setup stuff, but ugh. It's an interesting question, I think, about like how we do evolve these kinds of convenings going forward, because I could see a value in kind of a concurrent streaming model, because we've had so much more participation because of this, you can do it from home sort of thing. So something to consider, kind of continuing this model, at least concurrently maybe, although that's complicated, right? We know to have people streaming in and actually participating, that's tough. But if at least they could observe, maybe that's better than the alternative, which is you can't come, you can't come.
Okay,
Oh,
we're
it
at
looks like
40 seconds, so I am going to close the rooms.
I feel like Medina may have fallen off. Oh, wait, hold on. Here we go. Okay, no. All
Okay.
right, well, we'll see.
I did not make an announcement. I meant to, but now they have 60 seconds, but I can't
Okay.
make one once you close the rooms.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Welcome back as people return. We have about 30 more seconds and the rest of the breakout rooms will close. Okay, I think we've all returned.
Awesome. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you had some insightful conversations, got to talk to some new friends and catch up with some old ones. I'm going to now hand it off to Miss Medina McKinney, who's going to give us some updates from the Black Parents Association.
Excellent. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for joining us. My name is Medina McKinney, and I am the board president of the BPA. I am overjoyed that all of you chose to join us for our very last Unity in the Community for this school year. However, we are not done for the year, so stay tuned. And I want to say we have a super jam-packed agenda for this evening, so we're going to just go ahead and jump right into it. And in helping us build our district community as well as our BPA board, I am super happy to welcome a new member to our board. I would like to say, and I always say this phrase, many hands make for light work. So I would like to welcome Miss Kia McKinney as our new board member. She is no stranger to hard work. Not only has she been lending her hands to the BPA well before she became a board member, with plenty of meetings before she became a board member, she is a dedicated mom of 4. She is a youth advocate, a networker, and an educator. And she spent over 8 years in the Tracy Unified School District. She's also a founder of AAA Motivated, which is a platform and a movement that inspires youth to really journey into their self-actualization. And without any further ado, I'd like to welcome Miss Kia McKinney.
Thank you, Medina, so much for that lovely introduction. Thank you, everyone. I am so happy to join the board at BPA. I will tell you, a few months ago, I listened in on one of these calls, and I immediately called Medina and went, wow. When I saw the people at the table, all of you I'm talking about, and the transparency, that was the piece that said, I'm in, I'm all in. And so I'm so happy to be able to get back to the Sevendale community from which I came from, and am overjoyed to be working with my cousin. This is my first cousin. So we go all the way, and with all of you working on behalf of our youth. So I thank you in advance for all of that and for welcoming me.
Thank you so much, Kia, my sister cousin. I'm so happy to have her aboard and for the work that we're going to do for the BPA and for the broader community. So let's talk about some highlights. This school year, we've had a lot of great successes through advocacy with our partners, some new, some old. And so let's really get into it, because we've helped to strengthen the educational landscape for our students this year. And I'm really proud of the work that we have done. First and foremost, my college pathways. It was a partnership with the Silicon Valley Community Foundation and their scholarship officer, Dean Taylor. Amazing work where 49 families joined us live, and we were able to actually record it. I will drop that video into the chat, so anyone who missed it, you can certainly watch it again, because in that, other families, a total of 71 to date, were able to watch it. And it was a journey into preparing for college, the A through G planning, and much, much more. And it sparked ideas around actions of planning for higher education. Because of that, we are going to continue this in fall and throughout the 21-22 school year. So definitely more to come there. So while I'm talking, let me go ahead and just drop that into the chat to everyone. Booyah. Our next one was with Girls Who Code, and that was actually quite exciting. It was a partnership that they have with SMUSH, and it was great because we brought further awareness. A lot of students didn't know that if you're a part of SMUSH and you register, you get early consideration. So being able to bring awareness to 9th through 11th graders, girls and non-binary students helped a total of 41 students from the district get early consideration. Now, they haven't announced to me who actually is going to participate, but just being able to bring that type of awareness really was a great learning and a great partnership. So I'm hoping to continue that relationship and to continue to do more programs with them as we go into the future. Our next really awesome, amazing partnership was leaning in into a goal that the district already had. Dr. Mary Montel Bacon is going to do a deeper dive into the summary of these findings, but this is where the BPA wanted to lean in and support the goals of the district. And it was about truly hearing what parents and the broader student community advocates had to say. There are concerns around how they wanted to support the students and also their issues that were important to them, and about overarching themes. We were able to really promote this event. Oh, did we lose it? Oh, it's all good. I can still talk about it. Don't even worry about it. But it was a focus group where parents were able to come and talk directly with Dr. Bacon about their concerns and to truly be heard. It was an intimate conversation and discussion with her where she could take that information back. Focus groups happen with teachers, students, and with parents. And then that way she can culminate all of that information into overarching themes. And she's going to discuss more of those findings later on in the evening, so definitely stay tuned. Next, slide 11. All right. Now, this one was fun. This was a new partnership that I actually had with Steve Hansen, who is a counselor at San Mateo High School. We heard it was kind of one of those things, see a need, fill a need. And that's one of my favorite quotes from Big Bottom, who was from the movie Robots, a little bit of kids' humor. But we heard some students kind of say like, hey, we always have to go out to different events to find out about HBCUs. And so we thought to ourselves, well, how about we bring them to the school district? So in under 7 days, we sent out some emails, we co-signed it, we sent it from BPA's email, and we had 5 historically Black colleges and universities sign up for the spring college visits. It was the first time that HBCUs actually were present at these college visits. So we thought it was very successful. Now, we didn't have the attendance that we would have liked, and we do hope that will change in the future with more promotion and more knowledge of the fact that they will be there. And we're even hoping to do kind of an educational piece around that come fall. But what we do appreciate is that kids are starting to learn that we can bring those resources directly to the school. And they don't always have to go out to HBCU expos. We can bring it directly to the district. So more to come for that in the fall. Now, what we really want from the rest of you is to truly, truly stay connected and stay informed. And that means following us on all of our social channels, the Instagrams, our Facebook, our website, and all the intranets. In that, you will always be informed about all of our events, all the things that are happening, and all of the resources available to you, but also so that you can share with us the things that are important for you to know, or things that we can do to help keep you informed. But like I said, though this is the last Unity in the Community for this school year, the BPA is not done yet. We still have more to come. And I'm going to pass the mic over to our BPA student leader, Aaliyah Stewart, to tell you what is in store for the rest of the year. Miss Aaliyah.
Thank you, Miss Medina. Hi, everyone. My name is Aaliyah Stewart, and I am a BPA Student Summit Leader with updates on what is to come for the rest of the school year. So if you are a graduating senior from the San Mateo Union High School District, Sarah High School, or Crystal Springs Upland School, this opportunity is for you. For more information on the baccalaureate scholarship, for more information on the baccalaureate scholarship, you can visit the website www.bpa-smuhsd.org/baccalaureate, or you can go to your school's career center or counselor. You can also email info@bpa-smushed.org. And then the next slide. So the district community, the BPA needs your help in supporting the class of 2021. Please consider donating to this year's 36th Annual Baccalaureate Scholarship Award Program. Your donation helps our students, my peers, on their college journey. Every dollar counts and your donations are tax deductible. Each one tell 10. It's a great cause and helps uplift our future leaders. I'm very excited to help lead this event with my other co-leaders, Hunter Black, Terilyn Wong, and Amulin Rasmus. We are inviting our peers from the San Mateo Union High School District, Crystal Springs Upland School, and Sarah High School to join us at State of the Student Summit. This event is a very intimate and candid conversation for Black Plus students to discuss relevant topics that are shaping our everyday lives. To attend, register with your school email address at www.smushed.org/BPA or www.bpa-smushed.org/news-events. Mark your calendars for the celebration of the year. The BPA's 36th annual virtual baccalaureate ceremony on Sunday, May 16th. Not only will the BPA community celebrate the class of 2021, but the recipients of the BPA Baccalaureate Scholarship Program will be announced. So family, friends, community, and educators, join us on May 16th at 3 p.m. to provide unified support and encouragement as students embarking on the next phase of their educational journey. More information will be coming soon on how to view the video presentation. Thank you.
Well, yeah, thank you for that presentation on the Baccalaureate Scholarship Program and the upcoming State of the Student Summit. Ms. Medina, thank you for that recap of the year in review. We're now going to transition to hear from the district with fresh news and reviews.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Brian Simmons. I'm the Director of Curriculum Assessment for the district, and I'm going to start this section of the agenda with a quick follow-up that was requested at the last BPA meeting regarding how our students' response to our fall climate culture survey broke down around gender lines. This was requested at our last meeting, so we want to make sure to do a quick follow-up. But just as a quick reminder about the survey that was conducted, administered to all SMU-HSD students in the fall, it was intended to solicit responses about how students felt about the culture and climate of our schools, as well as how they were doing social emotionally. We focused on our presentation in the fall, back in January on kind of the culture and climate issues. And as you can see here, as was reported at the last meeting, we had a pretty good response rate overall, although we would have liked it to be a little higher among our historically underserved groups of students. And but the real reason that we are here revisiting this is because the next slide, if you could please advance the slide to the next slide, please. So as I've indicated here, the key questions that we analyzed from the survey are listed here. But the key findings from our review of the data were that overall the gender breakdown of respondents was pretty equal to the responses in responses in terms of males and females. In addition, we see that overall male students responded more favorably to the questions about cultural awareness and hate motivated speech. And then finally, we did see that female students responded particularly more unfavorably to the hate motivated speech topics that we asked. And you can see some of the questions there on this slide, meaning that they may have experienced or seen more examples of hate speech or microaggressions than male students across our campuses. So that's certainly something we're going to want to pay closer attention to. We will track this data over time, and we'll track hopeful improvement to these responses over time as well, as we engage in training and activities explicitly intended to address and redress these issues for all students across the district over the next few years. I'm now going to hand it off to my colleague, Dr. Kirk Black, who will provide some updates about our work to recruit, hire, and retain more African-American teachers to the district. Dr. Black?
Thank you, Brian. Good evening, everyone. I'm Kirk Black, Deputy Superintendent of HR and Student Services. As many of you know, increasing the diversity of our staff has been one of the top goals of our superintendent and board. The district has made substantial progress in this area, as we presented at our first Unity in the Community call in the fall. As a summary, this includes hiring from within, developing the diversity that we already have in our staff and students, expanding our recruitment to more diverse counties and states, and offering relocation reimbursements, attending job fairs at universities which have high percentages of diverse graduates, partnering with the HBCU system through direct contacts at 11 of the HBCUs, and utilizing handshake recruitment, which is a top service to attract diverse candidates from college campuses across the country. Related to our diversity hiring goal, the district's equity-related committees, including Unity in the Community, have explored and developed new approaches to attract and retain diverse new hires. Towards this end, I was able to meet with Medina McKinney recently, and she provided me with a contact for a diversity, equity, and inclusion consultant. I scheduled time to meet with the consultant, and thereafter, our board approved a service agreement with Anastasia Talton Boone on April 1st. Ms. Talton Boone is the founder and president of Black Talent Matters and Meraki Human Resource Consulting. She will assist the district with expanding our inclusive recruiting strategies. Ms. Talton Boone is a graduate from an HBCU and will increase our access to HBCU students and graduates. Ms. Talton Boone is also the author of Black Unicorn in Silicon Valley that depicts some of her experiences while employed in Silicon Valley, including while working at Facebook. On this slide, there is a link to the initial Meraki strategy for San Mateo Union High School District, and it was on the board agenda on April 1st. Anastasia and I have scheduled appointments to move some of these strategies that are in the presentation into action in the coming weeks. And I'm happy to answer any questions either through the chat or after the presentation.
And I think I have this next slide. Good evening. My name is Julia Kemke. I'm the Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction here in San Mateo Union High School District. I'm happy to be with you again this evening. I just wanted to give a quick update. We have gone through a pretty lengthy process, and we've talked about this at some previous meetings, in identifying a provider to train all of our staff in anti-racist strategies, also to support our staff, and this includes all staff from our custodians to teachers, everyone working on our campuses, to develop strategies to disrupt hate speech, as well as just to work with us as a whole district on kind of the cultural, systematic issues that are happening to ensure all of our students are, our schools are worthy of all of our students in terms of their culture. So we went through a lengthy process. We put out a request for proposals. We received proposals from several different providers, convened a task force, which used a rubric to review those proposals. And from there, we came down to a couple finalists, interviewed them. And I will say, coming out on top at each one of those rounds was Joe Truss and Shane Saphir. Joe Truss is a principal. He has been doing racial equity trainings in the area across the United States. And he's partnered with Shane Saphir, who is a pretty well-known author of The Listening Leader. She has a new book called Street Data. And what we found, we did even attend some of their, and some of our staff has attended some of their trainings. They strike a nice balance between pushing us as hard as we need to be pushed, with ensuring that we also are thinking strategically and systematically in this work as we move forward. So this contract with them will go to the board on Thursday for their work to start immediately. And we'll put in the chat a link to the larger proposal for their work. That will take, we know this will take some time, but there's an urgent need around it, and it will start immediately once we have that approval. So we're very excited about partnering with them. I did share with them that they would be introduced here, so I'd imagine they're going to consider getting some looks at on LinkedIn and those types of things. And I'm sure at a future meeting next year that they will be here to introduce themselves personally. So with that, I am passing it to Gabriella Gelb, who's going to speak to another district update.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Thank you all for having me with you. It's been really exciting for me to get to hear about all the important work that the BPA has been doing in our community, and really nice to just feel the connection that this event fosters. So thank you. Tonight, I'm going to briefly tell you all a little bit about our district-wide Parent Connect parent support group. So I'm Gabriella, I'm a wellness counselor, and I work district-wide in a variety of ways. One of them being a facilitator for this Parent Connect parent support group that we run year-round. So the purpose of Parent Connect is to provide a space for parents and caregivers to gain support through discussion with other parents about the challenges that they may be experiencing with their teens, and also to provide an opportunity to gain some tools to work through some of these challenges and really overcome these challenges within your families and with your students. So you see on the right-hand side, some of the topics that we cover in this group are communication and healthy boundaries, managing stress, especially during the pandemic and now as everyone's transitioning back to on-site, strength-based parenting, which is a parenting style, and then we also have conversations about tobacco, vape, cannabis, and other substances as well. And again, this group runs year-round for parents and caregivers, and we accept referrals throughout the year. I'll tell you a little bit about how to get connected to this group. But we have an English-speaking group that I co-facilitate with another colleague of mine on Tuesday evenings through Zoom. And we also have a Spanish-speaking group on Thursday evenings as well. And it's for 8 sessions. And you can go to the next slide, please. So I just want to answer some of the common questions that we get from parents and caregivers about the group, just to give you all as much information that you may need to decide if you're interested in attending the group. So who is the group for? It's for any parent or caregiver of a student in our district and from any school site. So it's a nice opportunity for parents from different school sites to get to come together and connect with each other and hear about what their experiences have been like with their teens. If you are interested in joining this group, there are multiple ways that you can do that. You can reach out to your student's school counselor, your student's wellness counselor, or your student's school site administrator, or you can email myself directly at ggelb@smuhsd.org. When I finish speaking, I'll make sure to put my email in the chat as well. So please feel free to email me with any questions or if you're interested. And so again, the topics that we cover are topics that we're finding are coming up for families as challenges, and we aim to provide tools and ideas for working through these challenges. So it is a combination of psychoeducational content as well as conversation and discussion and collaboration together. And so the benefit of this group is that you would not only get to hear from other parents about what they've been experiencing and get to brainstorm together ways to overcome challenges with your teens, but also we hope to support you with any helpful resources that we're hearing may come in handy around any of the topics that we're speaking about or checking in around. And each group is 8 sessions. We do recommend that you attend as many of those sessions as possible so that you get all the different tools to use now, currently, or down the road as they come in hand. And the groups are all confidential. So your attendance in this group does not get released to anyone outside of our school district. It doesn't go to any of your students' future employers. It doesn't go to any of your students' future colleges or educational institutions. And our hope is that your participation in the program will only benefit you and make you feel more supported and connected to your community, to your students, to your families, etc. And attending the group does not mean you have a bad kid or something is wrong. Parenting and raising teens is one of the most challenging jobs you probably will ever have, especially during the pandemic. And so utilizing resources like this and connecting with other parents in this way to kind of create this village around raising your kiddos is a great thing. It's a really positive thing. So just to put that out there. And the group is completely free. There's no fee to parents or caregivers for joining. And if you have any questions, again, I'm going to put my email in the chat. So please feel free to reach out to me. Again, please feel free to reach out to your school sites if this becomes something that you're interested in or want to get connected with this school year or the following school year. And also feel free to spread this information to anyone in your school communities. This is a resource that we hope parents will utilize to get some additional support and connection. Thank you.
Ms. Gelb and the rest of the district staff, thank you for your presentations. Now would like to introduce Dr. Mary Montel-Bacon, who will be discussing her findings from focus groups conducted within the school district.
Well, good evening, everyone. I have the pleasure of sharing with you the outcomes of the 3 focus groups that, that the district set up for African American students. For most of you who may not know, the district was identified by the state as being African American students being overrepresented in special education for several years. And there really had not been any clarity about what the issues are that impact this relatively small population in the district. And I want to say that I truly appreciate the district's transparency in actually scheduling these groups, because some of the outcomes may not be messages that people would like to hear, but I have felt really positive about the fact that as I interacted with these 3 groups, that there's some similarities that emerged that the district is already following up on. And so I have the pleasure of summarizing probably 4.5 to 5 hours worth of meetings in 15 minutes. But most of the time, hopefully, will be in the breakout session where you'll get to be able to share as well some of your own concerns and issues, both positive and negative about this issue. Essentially, the next slide. Unfortunately, we did not have as many people as we would have liked to participate in the session. Can you get in the next slide, please? And that's part of the limitations, which I'll get to in a minute. The first session was with staff members, and it was very clear that there are very, very few African-American certificated staff persons in the district. As a matter of fact, the participants in this group were only 7 people. With the students, it was 8, and with the parents, it was a larger and more representative group. Next slide. I guess one of the things, as I talked about the numbers of people who participated, probably is one of the limitations of this particular activity. Because we're having to use volunteer participants at a time when students weren't in school, we didn't get the wide range of students that we would have liked. There wasn't representation from all of the schools. As a matter of fact, 50% of that group of students that we actually had in the focus group were from one school in the district. And then there were a couple of schools that weren't represented at all. So all schools weren't represented. But the other thing is that we didn't get a broad representation of the diversity of the student participants. For example, in the student group, half of those students were students in the course of the discussion we discovered were in AP classes or in IB classes. And so one of the things that was the biggest negative for me is that we really didn't, in this focus group with students, have any access to students who were in special ed or students who were struggling. Next slide. What I'd like to do in the next 2 slides is give you a sense about, in general, what were some of the commonalities in the outcomes um, with all three groups? There were some things that were just specific to one group as opposed to another. But the things that I'm going to share this evening really are the things that came across in all three groups. The positive comments, first of all, um, students felt that in general, that interpersonal relationships between students across racial and ethnic groups were pretty positive. You know, they'd make comments like, you know, you get some people who make remarks, but you know, most people get along with one another. And that was true across uh, students across all of the schools that were represented, but it was also true in terms of how staff perceived student relationships and also how parents felt. The other thing that was a positive that came through was the quality of education that students felt, and of course that parents felt that students were getting. We There were parents there who said we came from the South or we came from back east, and we're really satisfied with the comparatively high quality of education that our children are getting. Um, Unlike in some districts where you see a lot of a disproportionate underrepresentation of students of color, particularly African American students in high level classes, there was a belief among the group that kids had equal access to high level classes if they're capable of doing the work. Of course, the thing that was brought up in every single group as a positive was the ethnic studies curriculum. Parents said, I understand that schools often have ethnic studies classes, but I could not believe that this district is saying that that is a required course for all students who are ninth graders. Of course, that led me to the negative comment that what about the rest of us? That if, you know, the people who had students who were upperclassmen felt concerned about the fact that they didn't have access to what parents saw and students saw as something that is a very, very important addition to the curriculum. Okay, so those were the positive things, but there were areas of concern that that surfaced that were recurring themes. The first thing is I was kind of surprised about how surprised all three groups were about the fact that anyone cared about what they thought. It was no one's ever asked us what we think. And so having a forum for this group, not as a minority as they are in the district, but when they were in a room with people who look like them and they were able to share, um, they were extremely positive about the fact that the district had taken the time to come and ask them what they thought as a group. However, the flip side of that was they were very skeptical. I mean, initially in all the sessions, the skepticism was very clear. Why is this? What are you going to do with this information? Is this just going to be a one-off and nothing's going to happen as a result? Or are you really going to listen to us and try to do some things that need to be done for us in this district? The second thing that was consistent were their feelings of isolation, the feeling that they really don't belong. Um, Whereas students got along well with one another, it was as African American students that wasn't necessarily, they did not necessarily feel that their experiences were recognized and understood. Staff members also talked about feeling isolated there. And we had staff members who were newbies who'd only been in the district for a couple of years to people who'd been in the district over 30 years. But comments like, as an African American, it feels lonely here. And so, of course, with all of the groups, that lack of representation of people who look like them among the staff was a big issue. I mean, students said things like, it's really, really important to have people that you think understand who you are and where you're coming from. And I want to add something to that. What was I thought was really interesting was I did ask them a question about how many people do you think at the school know your backstory, know who you are, that you can trust to come to talk to them about problems or issues? And students felt that there most in general, it was nobody, particularly not among the instructional staff. Students would say, well, not the teachers. They'll talk to you about academic things, but I don't talk to them about personal issues. Sometimes I feel closer to the admin and can sometimes talk to them because they're concerned about um, what it is that we feel like and what we think. Um, and sometimes they mention a classified staff, but in general, the lack of representation of people who look like them was an issue among the staff. And so I was very pleased to see hear Kirk talk about the recruitment effort because that seems to be something that is very, very important. Both students and staff complained about the absence of what they call culturally responsive curriculum, particularly in English and social studies. Complaints about the fact that there's still for the few things in English, for example, when we're talking about reading, they're still doing the same ones from years and years ago, and there's lots of current materials that relative to representing African American students, adults, and life in general that are not included in the curriculum. Social studies was another area where there was some real concern. And as a matter of fact, examples given of things that were said that demonstrated a true insensitivity to how it feels to be African American and a minority in the district. And I'm not going to give examples now, but I think um, it's really, really important with particularly with those two subjects that students see themselves reflected in the curriculum and that people understand what it feels like being them given the materials that are selected. Um, the issue of implicit and explicit bias and microaggressions was an issue that came up also with every group. Um, People talked about, and I really wanted to look at something as I share this, but I thought I had something more. Students complained about other students making comments using the N word and or hearing people telling other kids they need to go back to their country, that kind of thing. And although that's the more explicit bias, but although one of their biggest concern was, yes, occasionally this happens, and at some schools more than others. Um, their problem was that they did not feel that staff members will follow up, that staff members, they say, may say, knock it off, or don't say that, but they don't do anything and there are no consequences for um, for those kinds of behaviors. And they felt that there should be much more um, direct um, responses to what they felt was inappropriate behaviors. Um, Finally, and that's the last one, that that they didn't feel protected. Essentially, yes, people make comments occasionally, or even staff make comments, and staff members, African American staff members, talked about how they had to deal with their colleagues about certain kinds of things that were said as well. But the biggest problem was students feeling as if there should be consequences for for those kinds of behaviors or those kinds of comments. Next slide. I just wanted at the end to mention two additional issues that weren't a question as much part of that discussion of um, recurring themes among all three groups, but they really are important issues to address. One, um, students talked, remember I mentioned that the students that we talked to tended to be students who were higher achievers. And when asked, neither the staff members, the students, nor the parents focused at all on that whole issue of overrepresentation in special education, or even seemed very aware of it as an issue. And students mentioned that teachers don't ignore kids who are struggling, but they really did not feel that there are enough supports available for them so that they can be successful. Um, And so I'm not going to make a determination about that. I think that's something that the district needs to look at to determine if that is in fact the case. But they talk more about, I have friends who are having difficulty and there's really not very much. You can go to an individual teacher if you need help in their class with something, but in general, that there's not enough of a structure to help students who are struggling. And then finally, no, it's not finally, I did have one more thing. What really surfaced as an issue that is an issue that the parent group should focus on, I'm talking about BPA, as well as the district, are the unique issues that biracial, multi-ethnic students and families face. These kids and families have another layer of difficulty in adjustment that people don't understand. We had people in the group where the parents were white and the kids were African American and adopted, or biracial families, and they talked a lot about how families want to feel welcome coming to the group, and people understand that the focus is that they have kids of color who live at their house, and those kids are having struggles dealing with their own identity, and that there are lots of times that their unique needs are ignored. And then finally, which was a surprise, the positive was they said, they talked about open houses and the activities that are done to make the transition from middle school to high school, that some schools do and that they felt that were positive. But many of them focused back on the beginning to the kids being experiencing racism, being called names, was middle school. And that they worried that in making the transition that their students would have the same, parents worried that their students would have the same experiences in high school. And if you remember, for some of them, they've not yet met students in class because they're online this whole year, particularly the young ones. But parents really worry about if in fact their students are going to have the same kind of difficulties that they had in middle school, and what kinds of things affirmatively will be done to help them to have opportunities where they can be together just with people who look like them. And you know what, that was important for the staff as well. And I was very pleased to hear that the district is already moving toward providing African American staff members with opportunities to be able to interact with one another. They were just thrilled about it. And all three groups are thrilled about the fact that they could talk about what it is that they felt in a room with people who look like them. And that's why the minority status that this group of youngsters have is very, very important, and for the district to take that into consideration. So we would love to hear more of what your concerns are, both positive and negative, in the breakout session. And I will pass this along, I think, to Julia to set the stage for that activity.
Thank you, Dr. Bacon. And I just want to acknowledge, because I know some of the folks on the call participated in those focus groups. So I just want to thank you for the time that you spent with Dr. Bacon. And I know we did learn a lot from this. And I just wanted to share a couple of the ways that we're starting the journey of ensuring that we follow up on a lot of what we learned from the focus groups. We did hear a lot around some specific curricular concerns about instructional activities or the delivery of content that we are following up with. And we are going to continue our review of all of our novels and instructional materials, just because it came up quite prevalently with both as you heard, with our families as well as the students. And as Dr. Bacon alluded to, Mr. Simmons and I also have had a follow-up meeting with our Black teachers, and identified time for them to be paid for colleagueship and collaboration. And then we also offered to pay for their participation in the Black Teacher Project through the National Equity Project. And I know from talking to a couple of the principals, we have some new hires potentially that will connect with the Black Teacher Project as well. You heard from Dr. Black about the continued efforts around recruiting. And we do think that just having educators of color, whether they're Black or other educators of color, will support much of what we heard from our Black teachers. And then the last point that I wanted to make, because, you know, reviewing the kind of summary notes from Dr. Bacon again, there were a lot of comments about middle school and students bringing in the trauma of what they experienced there, something that is, of concern for us, that, we're going to do some outreach to our middle school partners and talk about, like, how can we support that transition, because it definitely came up a lot for the students, and we heard stories from our families as well. So unfortunately, we're not a unified district, so we don't have control over everything there, but we can be better partners to ensure that we're sharing some of those results and, thinking about how we can make that transition better. So we know we still have more work to do in this area, but we did have a few follow-up meetings with Dr. Bacon just to talk through what it is we can do from this information, so that it isn't just a moment in time that we listen to people and then, move on from there. So as part of that, we do want to hear from you all. And the way that we are going to do this evening is we're going to go into breakout rooms now. And there's a slide deck. I'm going to try to open this so you can see what it looks like. We would just love for you to have some open-ended conversation, your reaction to the focus group, some of the summary there, and then any solutions, thoughts, ideas that you have on, some of the major summary that you heard from Dr. Bacon. We have a slide deck here that we'd love to have you capture your notes on if you have other suggestions on how we can follow up to some of the things that we've heard. And all we ask is that you could put your group number in there. You don't necessarily have to tell us who was in the group, just a number. And then make sure when you get into breakout rooms, introduce yourselves. And we're going to spend about 15 minutes for this portion. This is one of the last activities for the evening. So Ms. Chalkley, would you like me to get the breakout rooms ready?
That would be great. And I did just put the reaction solution slide in the chat. And then we can, I think, also broadcast it out to the rooms once the breakout rooms are set.
Okay. And I think we are now ready with the breakout rooms. If you do have any questions when you're in the rooms, you can always raise your hand and we can come and help if there are any questions about it. All right, I'm opening the room and we have about 15 minutes for this portion. Stop the share.
So should I broadcast that link again? Is that if I broadcast it, will they be able to see it?
No,
Oh,
but they can see the chat, so they can
Okay.
go to the chat and get the link.
Okay. Okay. So I thought the meeting went to 8, but it actually, Medina is telling me, went to 7:30. So that was not my understanding at all. So
Oh, really? Because I thought it went to 8 too.
yeah. So anyway, a little bit of a disconnect there, but maybe when they come back, we can, when the folks come back, we can kind of make up for lost time. I mean, I don't really see people dropping off, so.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think they're hanging in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, when they come back, we can just,
There's no way we've gotten through this, right?
Yeah, I thought we were until 8, so I think it's okay. I think it'll be okay.
do you want to make this 10 minutes of instead? Oh, you're on mute.
That's probably for the better, for the best anyway. So Medina says, I don't really think we have any questions. Like, I don't have any questions in the comments. Let me just double check. Okay, so I don't have anything in comments, and there's nothing really in the chat. I think Kevin addressed it something earlier. But I think when we come back, we could say, you know, we realize we're past our 7:30. So if there are no questions, we can close out the evening. And you could also shorten to 10 minutes, I think. What do you think?
Probably. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if people are going to be tracking the time.
Nobody seems to be dropping off. I mean, I don't really.
No,
the rooms are full. So I would say just go to 15 and then at the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't know how we would have timed this otherwise. So I think it's going well.
Yeah.
We're still recording, so I'm gonna.
Yeah.
You might be able to try to broadcast the link because they can't see the chat now.
Let me try that.
It might work.
Did that work?
Yeah, but it's not going to be a live link that you can actually click on.
Oh, okay. Well, there are people in there, so that makes me feel good.
They can go to the chat and see the history. So
yeah.
Oh, it looks like Leah has joined us. Are you there?
I'm here. Sorry, I was teaching this class tonight. I think there's like 3 meetings tonight. I'm like, oh no.
So Lehia, just so you know, we're live on YouTube and we're recording. And when we're in breakout rooms, this is what is actually broadcast out, our threesome right here. So just so you know that. But Julia, would it be helpful to put Lehia in a room?
Do you want to go into one of the breakout rooms?
Sure,
Introduce
I would love
yourself,
to.
and they're talking about the focus group results that were just shared. So we can put in the chat here. Do you have the link to the presentation? Because that might help.
I think so.
Here, let's just put it in the chat for you so you have it on the top. Here, I got it, Laura. And then I'll put you, I see a room here of 2 people. So I'm gonna have you join them if that sounds good.
Thank you.
Right. Let's see what room. Room 6. All right, we'll see you back here in about 10 or actually about 8 minutes or so.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Do you want to share slides after this?
Share which slides? What do you mean, the presentation?
Yeah. Am I
Yeah, I can do that.
I'm still sharing. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Yes, I can do that.
I'm going to say 4 minutes. We're going to make this a little shorter.
Okay.
I'm hoping they don't automatically close the rooms though. Okay, I'm going to keep breakout rooms open. Did that come up for you too?
It said time is up for the 10-minute breakout rooms. Do you want to close all breakout rooms?
So say keep rooms open.
Oh, so I have to do that?
No, you don't have to do anything. Just don't
Oh,
do
okay.
the one that says close.
Okay. Okay, let me get my thing in order here so I can share. When we come back. Okay, so I'm ready to share whenever we're back.
Oh, I didn't put a timer on and now I don't have the timer from here. Do you have a timer on? Start one. I'm gonna give us about 3 more minutes.
I think that's good.
Should I just say 1 more minute? So
I think that's good.
give them a second because then once I put this, once I close the room, some people will start coming back. Okay, there we go.
So I'm not sure if Angela is going to be the one to kind of round us out. I mean, that was the original plan, so.
Okay. How'd it go, Brian? You're
It was good.
muted.
Did you pull me out, or
You pulled
I
yourself
suddenly
out.
disappeared from the? Did I pull myself out?
You must have by
I
accident.
didn't mean to. I was weird. Because I was typing that. Maybe I must have somehow like bumped it or something. Because I was typing what my group was talking about. But it was great. It was
Good.
that student Emilyn. He went to DTech for 2 years. I didn't realize that, and now goes to middle college. He's had the most
Oh.
interesting high school experience. Went from Taylor to DTech to middle college.
So we're recording, this portion is going to YouTube, so
Oh,
just so you
whoops.
know.
Yeah.
That's okay.
But no, he's great. I mean, he's amazing. He's an amazing kid. But
Okay, everyone, what a really wonderful evening we've had. We are at the almost the very end. We were hoping to have more time for questions and answers tonight. We have a little time. If we understand if you have to leave, you have to leave, but we can definitely take a few questions in the chat. If you'd like to ask a few, we're happy to direct them to the panel. So again, please, if you would like, please put your questions in the chat. And we will answer them as best we can. If you could make them as precise as possible, that'd be great. Yes.
Ms. Taylor, I just wanted to say that I don't have any questions in the comments email, and I'm not able to see the chat, unfortunately, because I'm sharing my screen, but I don't have any questions in the comments email. So I just wanted to tell you that.
Okay, thank you. I don't see any questions either in the chat at this time.
There was a question I saw about were the slides and the other information that Dr. Bacon made, are they available? I saw that in the chat.
Oh.
So we will post the slide deck on our website, and we'll make sure that all of the links that are embedded are accessible to everyone. So we will do that certainly no later than tomorrow morning. So it will be available.
And also, please, if you do eventually have a question, please send them directly to the link in the presentation, the comments at smush.org, and you will definitely get an answer. So I would encourage you to do that too if you'd like, as an option.
But Ms. Taylor, I just have a quick question. I was wondering if there are going to be any follow-ups with the focus groups or another one of them done. I know we talked about the sample size being really small and unrepresentative in some categories. Is there any plan for the district to hold another one maybe the next school year?
Yeah, I think we're committed to doing this this program, this kind of listening, activity again. So I think Megan Renee asked, will the survey and focus groups be repeated to see if any changes over time? Yes, I mean, obviously you'll have different, the makeups change in those pieces. I think will happen, but we are anxious to hear that. The other thing I would, since I'm talking now, I would really encourage people to attend the baccalaureate. This is 36 years in the making, and I've only been there for five of those years. But when you go, when you see the program, the history of this, the people who come, there's folks who've been to baccalaureate since the beginning of that with grandchildren and those. It's just really a wonderful activity. So if you can support it financially or come to the event, they're all really important. And then I think one of the other pieces out here that was mentioned about middle schools that we need to think about is how can we have our 8th grade kids have a warm handoff to high school, right? Even if they've had a bad experience in middle school, many kids do, then how do we make them feel like, hey, this is a new starting point. Here's one place for home. And that's a conversation that we can have with our BPA chapters as we go forward.
So there is one quick question, and then we will close for the evening. Karen did ask, are they going to do any further outreach to special ed students to collect their perspectives? Oh, Ms. Bacon, you're muted.
I was trying to do it without saying anything. I think that would be excellent. I mean, even within the group where I was, the parent who said that the child was in middle college, and also the kids who were in AP classes said, oh, the curriculum is great. We use all this great. A lot of the readings had to do with diversity, but we got the opposite from those kids who were struggling, that those kids need even more to have a forum where their identity is valued. And we do a lot for kids who we see as the high achievers that we think, and we forget about those kids who really need it just for their self-esteem.
Okay, thank you.
So if, for example, if school were in session, we wouldn't have done a volunteer session like this. We would have gone into the special ed class. Can I talk to your classroom, please? Or we might have a group of kids who were picked because they were a diverse representation. But in this case, it was just who showed up. So anything we can do once the world returns to quasi-normal and bring kids together. But it is important for them to be in a room where they're only African-American students. I think staff can do it. I think they're accustomed to that. You don't have to have an African-American running the session really, but I think it would be wonderful once we're able to get groups of kids who have made a different journey through the district than the kids that I talk to.
Well, thank you very much for that. And we are closing our evening. We would like to ask you to please take a moment to complete the brief survey. The link is listed in, or is it in the chat now, Laura? Or maybe we can put that in the chat.
I'll add it in
now
just a minute.
You have it? Oh, okay. And thank you all
It's in
for
the chat.
participating. Thank you all very much for being here with us tonight. It was really wonderful.
Can I just interrupt two things? One, I want to make sure that everybody knows that Leah Andrade Zuniga showed up for our meeting. And then it's always appropriate in any meeting where the school board president is present to allow him to have the last word. So Mr. Griffin, you get to have the last word here.
Well, you know, you went off, if I'm the board president, you're the superintendent, you went off script, which I guess is perfectly fine. The other thing, and I was going to recognize my colleague on the board, but I think without getting in trouble, I think Medina McKinney is going to have the last word. And I don't think I'm going to be able to beat her to that. So anyway, I certainly want to thank everybody for participating. You know, I think it was a really good presentations, but you know, the part that I enjoyed the most was the connections and the breakout, you know, and sharing ideas and listening to people. I think that's, you know, we already knew from our first session that lectures, Zoom lectures at the end of the day don't do much for anybody. You know, everybody's kind of okay, but when you're participating, when you get to talk to people about issues and challenges, I think that's where people start those connections that we're looking for, where we hear ideas. And I hope everybody got something out of these meetings. I was in our last breakout session, I noted about the overrepresentation and the issue with our employee teacher recruitment and recruiting people that look like our students. And that's been a lifelong, you know, it's been a really difficult challenge in the district. I'm planning to make a report to our board on Thursday night at our meeting, and we have a list of stuff for follow-up, and I'm going to make sure that these items get put on that list and that we just continue to hammer away. Now, we're not going to be able to solve these things, but I think we just got to keep going. I think it's just another step in a very long journey, and we just got to keep it up. So I thank everybody for their participation, and for me, good evening. So Medina, Miss Medina.
Thank you. I am ever so grateful for everyone who hung in on this evening to support the BPA, but the community building that is happening here. It does not stop here. It will continue because the connections are being made and they will continue to grow. I'm exceedingly proud of our superstar summit leaders, Aaliyah and Amulin. You are dynamite. You amaze me. You completely amaze me. Keep shining, keep rocking, keep doing your thing. We all applaud you. But moreover, I am happy that everyone here continues to build with us and grow with us and support us and will continue. This may be the last for this year, but we will continue next fall. And thank you to the board and to Superintendent Skelly for always having our backs, for continuing to lean in and advocate for us and support us. And to Bob, because he doesn't like when I call him Mr. Griffin, to Bob, thank you for your wisdom and just your wise words and your supports, and always going back to the board and advocacy for the BPA and everyone who showed up tonight. I will not keep you any longer. I will keep it brief and short. I appreciate each one of these squares here. You guys are all rock stars, and I appreciate you. Ashe, good night.